Great. So welcome everyone. Welcome to another one of our monthly My Speaker Business Community Call. And we always like to know who is here with us. Write in the chat where you're dialing in from, and also as this is our speaking community session, we would like to know where are you with your speaking so far? Okay, if you're just starting out, just type in beginner. If you're already out there giving speeches, but you're not paid yet, put in experienced. If you're already being paid to speak and you're on the higher end and you make significant income from your speaking, say pro or professional, we just would like to know who is here with us. Okay, so please play with us because we like to make these sessions actually interactive. Tell us where you're dialing in from, where you're calling in from, and where you're starting, because that will help me and our precious guest today to also a little bit tailor our conversation to where we are and who is here with us today. Okay, so again, welcome. Let us know where you're calling in from, and if you're a beginning speaker just starting out, or if you are an experienced speaker, you're out there speaking but not paid yet, or if you're already a pro, being out there being paid, and you're just here to bring it all to the next level. So share with us, and I see that we have quite a few beginners here. That's wonderful, or beginner starter, love it. Jasper, I know from the Netherlands, and then we have Christian from Munich, Joe Berg, South Africa, yay, experienced, wonderful, already out there speaker. Okay, and I know we have a few more joining us. Julia from Frankfurt, right, and joining from the small and lovely Luxembourg. Federico, great to have you. And pro beginner, I love that one. Okay, Christian, that's a great one. Hi, Julia. Hi, everyone. So let's get going. Let me introduce the session. Let me introduce our guest today. As you know, that we are running these HeartPowered Speaking Community Calls every month, and I'm the founder, and some of you might not even know me yet, so let me introduce myself. I'm the founder of HeartPowered Business. Our mantra is speak up, scale up, impact the world. So go professional with your speaking, boost your visibility, step up, raise your profile, get heard and seen in a greater way, attract more clients with speaking, make speaking an additional income stream. That's what we help people with. And then once you're there, we help you to stop selling time. We help you scale your business. And, in an 8-step process, we help you scale your business so you stop selling your time, you make much more money, serve many more people, and you have the freedom to be out there and do something, as a speaker, being out there as a speaker even more, because your business doesn't depend on you being around, and you can make a big impact in the world, like some of our clients that built a Montessori school in Pakistan, which then now gives access to education to hundreds of kids, and especially girls, which makes my heart sing. Okay, and a lot of our clients are doing something bigger than just building a business. They're really creating positive impact in the world. And we have actually over the years helped hundreds of clients from about 50 countries to go professional with their speaking, and a lot of them, when they stepped up with their speaking in a more professional way, they doubled, they tripled, they even quadrupled and more their income with our Voice to Millions framework. I myself have been a paid speaker for more than 20 years, and I've been on stage in more than 30 countries, 5 continents already. But here's the thing, this session is not about me, it's all about every single one of you. And of course, our amazing expert guests that we are inviting to our HeartPowered Speaking Community Calls every month. So now let me ask you also, because it's about all of you, how many of you are serious about stepping up with your speaking this year further? How many of you want to go from starter to experience, from experience to professional? How many of you are serious and committed to really get booked more, get paid more as speakers, and really use speaking actively to grow your business? If that's you, if you are serious about stepping up with your speaking this year, say in the chat me, just a little word me. I want to know how many of you are here that are really committed to stepping up as speakers. So put in the chat me, so we know how many committed people we have here. Okay. And, as I said earlier, this session is not about me. It's all about you and our precious guest. that will inspire you today. So in all our sessions, you get a lot of practical hints and tips from our expert guests and from me that you can apply right away. You can ask any personal questions. That's why we also bring you together with our guests, right?
Monique, we don't hear you anymore.
Monique, you're on mute.
Okay, my friend, since when have I been on mute? What was the last thing? Oh, I see the me's in the chat, so that hasn't happened. That happened. Yay. I don't know why. I didn't even touch anything. Okay, my computer. Okay, that's what we talk about today. How do you make sure that you master your technique and the technical stuff doesn't master you? Anyhow, so thank you for letting me know. So the last thing I was saying was that I don't know what the last thing was that you heard, but these are our sessions for you to ask, to get practical hints and tips from our expert guests, so you can apply right away. You can ask your personal questions, and that's why we bring you these amazing guests here, so you can connect with them directly. You can learn from them directly. You can ask them your personal questions directly, because most of my guests that I bring here, you would need to pay them a lot of money to actually pick their brain directly, right? Also, this is a session for you to really exchange with other professional speakers and just take a break and walk away with some additional inspiration and concrete practical steps to bring your speaking and your business to the next level. We also want to make them interactive, so you can ask your questions anytime. I'll keep an eye on it, okay? But we will definitely also, for sure, at the end of our session together, have a Q&A session where you can really pick the brain and connect with, heart to heart with our guests directly. Also, mute yourselves when you're not speaking, unless you want to tell me that I'm muted, then of course, let me know, which should normally not happen. But, also keep in mind, this is video recorded. Normally you shouldn't be visible. It's only me and the guest being actually recorded on video. Unless you ask a question, then we might bring you in, okay? So now, today, what we speak about is how you are becoming a truly productive professional speaker. Reclaim your time, your energy, and your focus. And I'm sure that quite a few of you feel you spend too much time for the money you're making or the results you're getting, right? And as speakers, you might spend too much time getting the speaking opportunities than being on stage. Is that right? If that is you, say true in the chat. I want to know how many of you feel that you resonate with the topic today. Do you feel you really want to reclaim your time, your energy, and your focus and do more of what you love doing? Okay. And again, we want to change this. We want to really set a foundation of this for you today in our session. Our guest today will share with all of us some simple and yet effective techniques and tools that will enable you in concrete ways to work smarter, not harder, so that you can reclaim your time, your energy, and your focus, so you get to spend more time on the things that matter the most, like a speaker being on stage, or with your clients instead of doing the admin stuff, or with your friends and family than working late hours, right? That's what we are here for on this session. So on this session today, you learn how you slash your inbox time in half, okay? Show of hands, yeah, you want to slash your inbox time in half, right? I'm sure a lot of you want that. You talk about how you optimize your workflow, how you master your schedule, how you work smarter and not harder. And our guest today will share with you how she successfully runs multiple businesses and is out there as a global keynote speaker. And she also volunteers to support her own causes that are close to her heart. And all of that by only working 4 days a week, right? So now, who is our guest today? She's an amazing lady. I met her. She's a dear friend. Her name is Liz Hardwick. She is a CSP, a certified speaking professional, which is actually the highest recognition you can have in the professional speaking industry. And she is, a friend. I know her from the Virtual Speaker Association International. We've met at Global Speaker Summits before, and she's just really inspiring. And every time I meet her, I learn something from her. It's really my absolute pleasure to introduce Liz Hardwick to all of you who's really cracked the code on how productivity fuels speaking success. She's a digital productivity specialist, a global speaker, a master of doing more with less. For more than 25 years, she's helped entrepreneurs and speakers like you ditch overwhelm and reclaim your time. Not just to get things done, but to book more stages, command higher fees, and shine brighter whenever it counts. So please welcome with me, okay, with a thundering applause and a whole heart-powered welcome, my brilliant friend, Liz Hardwick. Liz, it's amazing to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's really lovely to be here and also to hear about how it's so people focused, your community as well, and it really resonates with the way I like to do business as well. So thank you very much for having us. Thank you very much. As in the same vibe as kind of interactivity and stuff, if you do have the ability to, we're going to be going on a little bit of a journey together today. I've got some little activities for you to do if it's possible for you to use the chat. I noticed some of you are driving at the same time, so please obviously don't do that if it's only if it's safe to do so. I do have slides. It helps me guide you along our way today. I want to share with you 3 key tips to save your time, energy, your focus, and also around the specific angle of working globally as speakers. A big thing for that is utilizing your schedule. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs who work globally as well, not optimizing their schedule and seeing some of the challenges that they come up against. So hopefully I can share some of those with you in this session. And yeah, let's get going. Let's get going. So I'm going to share my screen. Again, as Monique said, if you've got any questions, do pop them into the chat. I am going to go quite at speed, but I do have some resources you can sign up to later at the end if you'd like to. So reclaim your time, energy, and your focus. That's our 3 key areas for today. So I would love you to find the chat for me. And this is a question, a reflexive question you can take away and use at any point in your day, in your week. We use this to set the session for most of my Productivity Club clients. On a scale of 1, how productive, not busy, because there is a difference. You might have heard the phrase busy fool, but are we actually getting stuff done? Are we ticking those things off to the to-do list? 10 is awesome. Yes, I'm absolutely 100% completing all my goals at the end of each day, Liz. I don't need any help from you. I'm looking for super user tips. And 1 is, well, you can't be a 0. So where are you at the start of your journey? Brilliant. Lots of numbers popping into the chat. So do pop into the chat. So variety. And this is a useful tool for us to check in at any point, because this can help us assess where we're up to and then decide, does something need to be different? If we've got a certain number of things on our to-do list, is that realistic? By the end of the week, are we going to be able to do all of those things that we want to? Or do we need to reassess and be kinder to ourselves as well? That's a lot to do with what we're working with as well. So that's always helpful to do that. Min gave me a lovely introduction. I absolutely love to travel, and wanted to just share with you a few extra elements of, yes, I do talk about productivity, and yes, I do talk about a 4-day work week. And part of that, I still do all my comms, all my communications, all my leads, all my funnels. And I'm doing that all myself. I don't have a team behind me. I am doing it all. It's not that I've outsourced everything. I am being productive, but I am still completing all the things that are important for my businesses. So I wanted to share that with you, because some people have come to me and go, yeah, well, it's easy to do a 4-day work week if you've outsourced everything. So I wanted to make that clear that I actually haven't. I haven't outsourced many of the things in my business. So in this session, as Monique said, we're going to look at the digital productivity wheel of one of our resources for today. I'm going to share with you my ZenForInbox process. We're going to look at some scheduling elements as well. So anyone who's done any coaching or been part of coaching or mastermind groups will have heard of the Wheel of Life before. So I have my own resource that I've created, the Digital Productivity Wheel. It's based on the Wheel of Life and it has this to it. So each section has a 1 to 10 rating. So similar to just that little activity you did in the chat, what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of minutes to go through each element. So as you've got a different section, you might have a pen and paper to hand, or you just want to write it in a digital note. Even if you feel it appropriate to share in the chat your number. 1 being there's lots of room for improvement. 3 to 10, absolutely awesome. Don't need any more support with that. What we'll do is I'll just explain each little different stage, give you 10 seconds or so to give a number, rate a number for that segment. If you've ever done the Wheel of Life before, it's a very similar process. So let's go through that list and I want you to rate yourself a number. So either feel free to share in the chat or just do that personally yourself. At the end of this, we're looking for the 3 key elements that you want to focus on, and that will help you each few months, each quarter. We generally do this with our coaching clients. So time management, where are you at right now? Give me a number 1 to 10. Time management is about, are you getting to the end of your day and you have completed all your tasks? Are you guesstimating the duration of how long an activity takes correctly? Okay. Next one, energy management. This is about how we're managing our energy levels. So are we getting up full of energy in the morning and then we're kind of teetering out by the end of the day? So how are we feeling with that? Yeah, no problem. I can share a link in the chat to the resource there as well. Simona, there we go. Focus management. So that's about when you get down to the work, how focused are you? How easy is it to get in the flow? You might have heard that phrase before. So again, a 1 to 10. Work-life balance. How happy are you with it? And again, this is all personal. Might not be a right or wrong answer. It's about rating yourself where you are right now. Prioritizing tasks and activities. So doing the right things at the right time based on deadlines and understanding what's urgent to someone else might not be urgent to you. And that's one of the key players for a lot of entrepreneurs. Okay, next one, routines and habits. Give me a 1 to 10. Do you have regular routines? I absolutely love my morning routine. I have a personal morning routine where I really connect in. I have my visualizations, I do my meditations, I have my coffee, and then I have my work morning routine. And that helps really set me up for a really productive day. Managing digital files, folders, and systems. This is about saying, could you send me that file you sent me 3 months ago? Just resend it for me and be able to instantly and easily access the right documents. So, because the big thing here is being able to quickly and easily find your bio and send it to a potential client booker straight away. Could you do that? Got the things at your fingertips. Have you got them all on your phone ready to send? So again, you can rate your number from that. And then our final one, managing digital communication leads and clients. If someone has an inbound inquiry into your website, how quickly are you getting back to them? Are you remembering where someone sent that message? So you've had an inbound inquiry. Do you know if it's WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Facebook message? Where are you on the management side of things with that? Brilliant. So some of you shared into the chats. That's fantastic. So that gives us an idea of where we're at right now. What I want you to do is if you did that activity together with me there, and the good thing about this is we're doing this at speed because I don't want your brain to kick in with this. I want it to be the gut instinct number. That's important for this activity. So next bit, I want you to pick what those 3 segments are for you. Now, it might be, when you look at your numbers, it might not be the segments that have the lowest number. Because it might be, but as much as that might be the lowest number on your segments, that you're happy with where that is right now, and there's more important segments that you'd like to focus on. So what are your 1 to 3 segments that you'd like to spend some time on? So if you do feel happy to share, yeah, no problems. I can pop that list back on the screen. What might your 1 to 3 top segments be? And if you just want maybe your top 1 in the chat for us, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the first 3 in this section today, and then there's obviously further explanation to the other ones that we could do some other time. Routines and habits, says Mandy. Beautiful, thanks for sharing. And that might be that actually to ground yourself and really start with good intentions in your day. That can really help make a super productive day even better. Fabulous. All right. So we're going to go through time, energy, and focus right now. We're going to start with reclaiming your time. So Vanita sharing work-life balance. Beautiful. Have a think about, are there any activities that you can start to think about that you could action on? I love these obvious next step. What might your obvious next step be towards moving through that? Brilliant. We've got lots of ideas in the chat there. Social media. Fabulous. Okie doke. So reclaim your time. Here's a stat for you. We spend on average 11 hours a week managing and organizing emails. It's a huge chunk of our time. If you're like me, when I am not being my productive self, I'm sat on my laptop with my emails open, and the minute something comes in, I jump straight on it because I want to know what that latest thing is that someone wants to share. Yes, brilliant. I'm not alone. Fabulous. Thanks, Doug. So how do we rein that back in? Because that's a huge amount of time. Even if we can cut that down by half, that's almost a day a week. And the tips I'll share with you today, on average, it will total 12 hours that you'll save per week. So that's way over the average day per week. So you can see with some of these tweaks of how you do things, you could easily get down to a 4-day work week if you chose to, or just managing your hours slightly differently. So this is Hina. Hina's one of my one-to-one coaching clients. And for her, the biggest bit about emails was, so she's a journalist. Her important time in the morning is first thing. She gets to her emails, and that's where she decides how her day is going to go, because she has to be responsive to news. So she has quite a unique job where she has different time zones. So she might be in the UK and she's looking at what the news is coming in from America in the afternoon UK time. She knows what she's going to do the following day. But her peak productivity was being drained because she was in her inbox all day long, and it was distracting her from the actual creative bit of work that's important to her, that makes her money. It's the actual writing. And so what she did is she started to go through this ZenForInbox process that I created. She now only does the bulk of her emails in the morning. And as you can see, she's got a raving review from our process. So how does that work? And what tips can I show you along the process? Exactly. Doug's saying I'd be happy to cut it down by 25%. So that's it. How can we just get a little bit more productive? These different things can really incrementally change the way that we do things. So the biggest thing that Hina would share with you if she was here that she really found valuable, and a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, understand the reasoning why as well. It's in the morning, having that first pass. So look, yes, if you want to look at your emails, if you're choosing not to look at your emails until you've done your morning routine, which I do, nice morning, and then I open my emails, But when you're ready to open your emails, having this first pass. So the idea of things, we're checking for the important things. We're checking for the leads that have come in overnight or over the weekend, so that we can better prioritize what needs to be done that day. So you might have at the start of your day a bit of a plan of what you'd like to do with your day. Then by opening your inbox, what we generally get into the habit of is then changing our day to go and be managed by other people's priorities. Because we've opened our inbox, generally our inbox is other people asking us things. Now, as speakers, if that's a lead for a potential gig, brilliant. But a lot of the time, that lead will be in a sea of emails that are not as important. And so this first pass is about being very quick in deciding. So very similar to that wheel activity, I got you to spend no more than 20 seconds on each of those stages. So very quickly processing your emails, deciding if it's going to be something you delete or you spam. Is it something that you can reply to within a few minutes, do it there and then? Or is it something that needs a little bit more thought involved with it? And that's where this actions needed folder comes in. And this is a big game changer if you haven't already come across this. Instead of actioning straight away on that big email that's going to take a large amount of your time. So for example, say there has been a lead that's come on. Brilliant, Liz, I want to book you for a conference. I want this information. I want the bio. I want the blurb for your talk. I want to check your calendar. I want to arrange a briefing appointment, blah, blah, blah. That's not a 5-minute reply. However, what I can do is this first pass, and then because I know that one item is important, I move it into the actions needed folder and then create a task on my to-do list to make sure I action that later. So email potential client X by the end of the day. So notice I've done a few steps in that process there. So I've done that first pass to check if there's anything important. But rather than just looking at my inbox, I've processed every new item. And so that's where this question comes in for you next, is percentage of the emails in your inbox right now are, in my inverted commas, no longer relevant. Is it something that has been too long for you to respond to, that it feels awkward to respond now? It's like, oh, I couldn't possibly respond any longer. If you've got emails in there that are more than 6 months old, more than 3 months old, is it something that you could get rid of outside of your inbox? Now, it might be, and I would never recommend you just hit delete on anything, to be honest. It might be that you're saving things for archive, for reference. Then get those out of your inbox into a separate folder. Now, this is where folders come in really useful. You might just have a folder and call it project, or you might want to get really organized and have a folder for each client. The key bit is get it out of your inbox, because the psychology says if we see an empty inbox, we are more peaceful, we are more zen, we are less stressed about the number of emails. The practicalities of that actually mean if you've got 10 brand new emails in your inbox since you last looked at them, you know you've only got those 10 to process, and that becomes a much quicker job. Generally, I do that first thing in the morning. I'd take maybe 30 minutes, no more. And once you keep on top of things, you'll find it's much quicker. And that's where you save the money longer term. Let's have a look. 98%, 90%. Yeah, so there's lots of stuff that's in our inbox that we either, I wouldn't say delete, but we would potentially archive or move out of the inbox. Also, depending on what system you're on your phone, it will only synchronize up to 30 days. So most of it you don't have access to after 30 days anyway. Isn't there a task in itself to move email? It absolutely is. But I would say it's almost like an investment of time so you can save future. A lot of these productivity techniques that we'll look at will take time. It will take time to learn something new. It will take time to embed a new process or a new habit. So there is an investment top loaded in time, in practice, but then longer term, it will hopefully save you time. Yes, brilliant. You're all on board. I love it. Okay, so that's definitely something to think about. How many emails are in your inbox at the moment? Maybe dedicate 1 or 2 hours if you can, or if you just want to chip away at it, maybe 20 minutes every day to try and get rid of some of that backlog of emails that's no longer relevant. So my next section is about reclaiming your energy. So we asked that question before about what would you rate yourself in terms of energy management? So next, let's have a look. Performing strategic work during peak energy hours increases productivity by 30%. So I had to do some maths on this, and I am not a maths expert at all. But that claims us back, on average, if you do a 5-day work week, it saves you about 5 hours a week if you're a mid-focused person. So we're talking averages here, and we're not giving numbers of super duper productive people, like just an average human being with an average productivity level. So this process alone can save us up to 5 hours or maybe more per week. So I want to share with you Chris. Chris works for the ambulance service in England. He works the Government Health Association. And he was struggling with shift patterns. So he was doing lots of days, then lots of nights, then lots of days, then lots of nights. If you think about it in terms of speakers, you might do a full day conference, and then a couple of days later, you do an evening gala dinner. It's that sort of feel to it, where we're forever changing at different times of our schedule. And he was finding it really hard trying to do personal stuff outside of his working scheduled commitments. And you might find that the same. I definitely did. I could definitely resonate with that. After a full day long conference, I wanted to just get in the bath, have a nice glass of wine and relax. I did not then want to do traveling all the way to a different conference the following day. So can you see that the work-life balance really wasn't in check for him? And what we did is we figured out, we did that wheel together. We one-to-one, worked one-to-one coaching-wise for a while, as well as some group work with his team. And the key bit for him was doing things at the right time, so this energy management. So don't know if you've heard of chronotypes before, but this is something that really opened my eyes to when is the best time to do things for Liz. This is a thing called chronotypes. You are one of 4 types. It's a process created by Dr. Michael Breus. There is a quiz that you can take called the Power of When quiz. He coins himself as the sleep doctor, because actually it's about how you sleep when your productivity time is during the day. And biologically, you can only be 1. You might have sort of molded yourself into 1 over time, but you'll only be 1 biologically. So you can fill in the quiz. It takes about 10 minutes. So do check that out if you want to. What I'd love you to do is have a think about which one you might be just on gut instinct, and do share in the chat if you know which one already. I'm just going to go through the example. So I'm a bear. My peak productivity time is just before lunch. I like to have my morning routine, have 3 or 4 coffees, do some emails, do some social media before I'm ready to be the most productive Liz there is. My peak productivity time is 10 till 2. Lions, you're early risers. You're the traditional people who, if you did work in an office scenario, would be the ones that go to the office and have done a day's work before everyone else kicks it. Oh, looking at some smiley faces there, brilliant. So your peak productivity time for lions is 7 a.m. till 12. Wolves, you're the after lunch people. Traditionally, you might have heard people be called night owls. Your optimal time, you're very creative in the evenings. So around 4 till 6 if you're thinking of a kind of traditional work day. Oh, yes, we've got lots of dolphins in the room. This is really interesting. I work with a lot of virtual assistants, PAs, VAs, executive assistants, and they're super productive people already. But what we find is there's a high percentage of lions because of just that creativity, that kind of process of different energy levels. So dolphins amongst you, you have 2 peaks, you have 2 waves in your day. So you might have one in the morning and then one quite late in the evening. So normally about 7 p.m. But equally, we might not have a working day that starts in the evening. So 3 o'clock is generally a good peak time for traditional office hours. You're light sensitive, you're noise sensitive, and you'll probably struggle sleeping. And again, this is why it links back to the sort of the sleep psychology around it. And finally wake up after 3. Yeah, exactly, Doug. So it's figuring out when is your optimal time. So thinking about that, reflecting on the times when you've done a task you've really struggled with. And it's not because of competence. You absolutely could do that at any other time of day and it would be easier. And this is what this is about. So from now on, think about when is the best time to do your good work. And meaning, so for example, bears, 10 till 2, 55% of the population. So majority of us in the room would probably be bears. 10 till 2, what I don't do is do all my emails, all my admin, all the things that can bog us down that aren't my creative, exciting tasks at my peak time. I save all the admin bits till the afternoon because my energy levels are really high in the morning and then they tail off. So my creative times, I try and allocate that 10 till 2 or 10 till 12 sometimes as well, just that before lunch. I am motivated by like coffee breaks and lunches. So I try and motivate myself to say, right, I'm going to do this creative piece of work and then I'm going to have lunch. So how do you motivate yourself can slot into that as well. Okay. So reflecting on that, thinking about what your current schedule looks like, what activities do you feel are not currently at the right time of day for you? I'd love you to share some examples in the chat for me. So is there anything that you think, I really struggle to do that at that time of day? That might be because it's not at your peak productivity time. So which activities do you feel are not at the right time of day for you? Anyone wants to share, do you pop those into the chat? Creative work in the evenings is difficult. Brilliant. So reflect on that, do the quiz, and think about, you know, is there any way I can change my schedule to accommodate that now understanding that that isn't the best time? Creative ideas stuff for me in the evening is difficult. I can do it if I have to, but if I have an option to and a choice to change my schedule around when is best, then that's the way that I want to go about it. Admin and scheduling, not ideal in the late afternoon. Brilliant. So you're starting to decide these things. And this is what will save you time, because if you give yourself 20 minutes to do an activity, if it's at your peak productivity time, you'll feel that is done and completed with ease and flow, and just you'll feel quite happy doing it, feel quite natural. Take that 20 minutes allocated at the wrong peak productivity time, it potentially will take you much longer because we're struggling, we're not at our optimal. It feels like we're wading through mud sometimes. So that's a useful way to have a think about that. Brilliant. Okay, so reclaim your focus. Another stat for you, it can take up to 25 minutes to refocus on a task once you've been distracted. Now, stats differ depending on where you Google and you do your research, but 25 minutes I've given as a bit of an average. And that can be really distracting. And we can go back to that example of emails. So even if you don't click on that pop-up that's bottom right-hand corner on your desktop, even if you don't look at it, you don't click it, you've been distracted by it. And so if you can imagine that email pop-up happening every day, that's having to reset every 25 minutes to do that activity. So if nothing else, just switching off the notifications can be a really good shout. So to optimize our time, this is Lydia. Lydia is one of the project management leads for a company that I do training inside for their teams. One of the things they were really struggling with was how to keep focused on the task in hand and not get distracted by other things. So you might have come across this before, but this is my absolute favorite. If you had to ask me, Liz, what is your top favorite productivity tip of all times, it would be the Pomodoro process. This is my favorite ever one. It's so simple. It doesn't even need technology. I am absolutely always going to try and recommend digital where relevant. I'm a digital productivity speaker. That's my thing. However, Pomodoro process could just be one of those tomato timers that's in the background of that picture, a little kitchen timer from the 1980s that represents Pomodoro is also Italian for tomato, so that's where it's got its name. The pro created by Francis Cirillo in the 1980s. And its simplest form is set a timer, again, doesn't have to be tech, for 25 minutes. Work single focused on one task that you choose, 5-minute rest after that alarm goes off, and then repeat. And the idea being, traditionally, we'd repeat 4 times and then have a larger break. And this is where we're gamifying our focus. With Lydia and her team, they decided to do it in a group together. It was an open plan office. They were really struggling to stop accidentally distracting each other because they didn't quite know when someone was working or in deep mode or was just doing their emails. So that was really useful process. So check that out. I would highly recommend that. If you take nothing else away and you say this is this one tip, I would say Pomodoro is your key. So for my last tip, I wanted to share with you the scheduling element of it. Now, I do a lot of global speaking in person and also virtually. And once you cross virtual time zones, it can become a little bit exciting in terms of the scheduling of things. So I'm an organization of executive assistants based in Geneva that I flew out to speak for last month. And they were super organized already. So I'm thinking, oh gosh, how can I help these people be more productive? And for them, it was a little bit of AI, but primarily it was about scheduling for them. And this was the key bit, and that we can all learn from entrepreneurs, speakers, people that are working cross globally, cross time zone, more importantly. So when I shared this with them, they laughed and totally got this. So the phrase is, let's normalize not confusing someone's free time with their availability. So I'm sure we've all been kind of examples of this at some point where we've said, yeah, just tell me when you're available. No worries, anytime. And it's ended up not being the best time for you and you have to try and cram something into something that you're already doing. So these executive assistants, they're working not only on their schedule and calendar, but also their executives that they're supporting. So for this, scheduling became key. So this is some of the tips that I'd like to share with you today. The biggest thing, and it's not just for example, their teams where they're internal, you know, everyone's on the same office Outlook calendar, so everyone can see everyone else. This also goes for speakers, for your Calendly links, for your scheduling tools, for your automatic booking appointment schedulers. Someone comes to your website and they can book a book Liz appointment. They can have 25 minutes with you to chat about the conference. Then those need out as well, because it's the back end of those systems that will help you be more productive or not. So having the clarity of your calendar, deciding when you're going to do certain things, you might even want to start thinking about when your chronotype's peak performance time is and block that time out so people don't book appointments into it. So for me, 10 till 12, I will very rarely have a Zoom appointment that's just a conversation or a virtual coffee. It'll either be delivery time or it'll be me out doing something creative or something delivery based. Now, that might not work all the time, the scheduling, but as a default, that's what I try and do. In my calendar, it's blocked out so that people can't just book a virtual coffee with me. Virtual coffees are around 4 till 5 p.m. my time, so that by the end of the day, I'm very happy to have a conversation. It's not really taxing. It's not using my creative brain. It's not my optimal peak performance time of that day. So thinking about when you're starting to book stuff in, when is the best peak performance time for you for that type of thing you're trying to schedule? So you might want to flip it on its head and say, when are you free for calls? Because if it is something like your Calendly links and you're saying, I'm going to have virtual coffees at this time of day, and only offering in your Calendly systems, your scheduling systems, these particular times. And it might be that you have different meeting types and you send different people different links. So I have a virtual coffee booker scheduler link for someone who I just want to meet and chat with versus a completely different link and set of booking option slots for someone who wants to book me. Completely different. They have more, the people who are potentially going to pay me have more access to my calendar, my full schedule, than the people who I'm just initially having a conversation with. Completely different. So think about how you manage the offerings of time that you have available. You might want to flag up when you work from home, when you're in the office, different time zones you're working on. So I was at the PSA New Zealand book launch, the Trailblazers 2. I'm in that book. And that meant it was 4 a.m. my time in the UK where I was. Sadly, I couldn't fly out. I had a conference that night before in Ireland. I'd just flown home. So I had a 4 a.m. appointment. And I needed to make sure that no one else booked in anything in that evening or anything around that time. And I was going to sleep in the alternative half a day. Now, I needed to make sure that was clear in my calendar if I did have a VA or a PA to make sure it wouldn't be bookable. So I blocked out that day. Okay. Do you ever make space for some exceptions in case of appointments and clients, maybe for different time zones or for tight schedule cannot be available? Oh, 100%. Simona, yeah. So these are all defaults. So it wouldn't necessarily be something that people could click into straight away and book. But I would always, if it was someone who was a client or someone who, the expectation was higher, or I wanted to make a exception for, I'd send them a personal booking or I'd manually book them in elsewhere. So these are all just defaults. If possible, here's 3 time zones that work for me, but let me know if they don't work for you. So I'll always send a booking appointment scheduler link and then say, if none of those work in there, please do let me know a preferred time. So sometimes, yeah, you manage around them as well. So good question. I would always, as a default, do certain things, but always there's room for flexibility. If someone wants to have, well, that PSA New Zealand example, I chose to get up at 4 a.m. my time. So do that because that was important to me. So if someone wants to have a specific time, then I'll absolutely accommodate that as well. And then a final bit for default durations. For me, I generally try and do 55-minute calls or 25-minute calls. So I know we're going to finish, just before the hour today, and I'm going to help us do that. So I want to finish off with you a little bit of a recap of how much time we've saved. And then I'm going to have a think about what your one takeaway might be. So if on average you do some of the tips I've shared with you today with the ZenForInbox management, you will save on average 5 hours per week. If you optimize for your peak performance time, you will save on average 5 hours per week. And if you use the Pomodoro process, you potentially will save 5 hours per week as well. So that's a total of 15 hours per week. And, yes, we're not always our peak productivity style. I've given that a mid-range of productivity. It's not a super duper productive person. But that's a lot of hours we can shave off with incremental processes. So I know we're going to open for questions. I want you to share in the chat. If you've got any questions, please do pop them in. Put a Q in front of the question if you want to share that with us. And I want you to have a think about what your one takeaway might be. What are you going to do differently? Have a research, have a play about with, that you're going to think about differently or try out off the back of the session. I'd love you to share that in the chat if you're open to. You can grab the resources there with the QR code. I will stick that one into the chat as well. And if you've got any questions, then please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, or I think we've got a few minutes if you want to open the floor to questions. Fabulous. Has everyone got the QR code that wants it? Brilliant. We've got a link in the chat there. Super. Fabulous. All right. Have we got time for questions then?
A lot of great suggestions, and who doesn't want to win or gain 15 hours a week back, right? So I don't know if you answered that already. Liz, help me with that. It's a question from Simona. Do you ever make space for some exceptions in case of timings
definitely.
advice? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think all of these things are just examples of ways you could do things. You know, I'm saying using the Pomodoro process is brilliant. And it saves me, let's go with the average 5 hours per week by doing that. However, even I will have days where I'm not productive at all. And that's why it fluctuates. And I'll know when I've not been productive because I won't have got as much stuff done. So it makes sense that, you can't be 100% productive all the time because we're humans. We're doing other things other than the processing bit. So yeah, I would always accommodate for different ways of working and try new things as well. Brilliant. Doug saying stay out of my email boxes on the minute by minute. Absolutely. That is a big game changer. I highly recommend doing that like 25 minutes in the morning. So if you have a go at the Pomodoro style process, I do 1 Pomodoro of emails in the morning, 1 Pomodoro. So then I have a 25-minute of emails, 5-minute break. And then I do 25 minutes of social media, and then I have a 5-minute break, and then I start my day properly. So that's me easing myself into the day as a bear. And then if I have time, I might check at lunchtime with my emails, have that 1 pass, and then I would do that in the evening. How many Pomodoro cycles per day? So great question, Thomas. I would say Francis Cirillo would say 4, then a larger break. So if you're doing like a day at your desk, for example, like doing your admin or your processes or your marketing, I would say 4 in the morning, then have a really nice lunch break, and then do another 4. However, in terms of what Cal Newport coined as deep work, we only have 4 hours of deep work in us per day. And that's on a good day as humans. So if you're thinking 4 of those 4 hours are going to be deep focus work at our peak productivity time, the other Pomodoros could just be admin bits and things that are lower energy levels. So it depends how much in a day you've got. But I try and do Mondays as my admin day. I do my prep. I send all my emails, my blurbs, my bios. I prep all my slides, things like that for the speaking industry side of things. Pomodoros 4, a big lunch break, nice, go out, fresh air, and then another 4 in the afternoon and then finish. Good question. Any other questions anyone's got or any challenges that you want to share? Oh, Christian, brilliant. What do you do when the work is flowing? Do you interrupt? Yeah, so that's the idea. If you don't like that, have a practice because it might be like, oh, I'm in the zone now. I'm getting there and like you have to stop and it might not help. If you find 25 minutes isn't enough, I work with some people who change the time. So they do 50 minutes and then 10-minute break. So it's still using the hour, but they slot it slightly different. So if you do find you're in the flow, cancel the break, and then stop for a larger chunk. Or if for those of you who have focus issues like ADHD or ADD, you might just want to start with 10 or 15 minutes and then have a break because actually 25 minutes might be too much for you. Let's have a look. Absolutely agree on the 4-hour deep work per day. It would be great to normalize it. Yeah, absolutely. And, if you think if I do nothing else than 4 hours of really good work every day, wouldn't that be amazing? Like, yes, tick, done. Because we faff around so much. I know that word doesn't translate very well, but we procrastinate, we get distracted. We're humans. Shiny thing over there. It can be really hard to keep focused on what we're doing, especially when, you know, we are humans. We also, you know, have people and you know, animals and places around us that we do love and that we can get easily distracted by for good reasons as well as negative. So yeah, some great ideas in there. Brilliant. Any final things? Otherwise, I'll pass back over to Monique.
Well, I know everyone talks about AI these days. I'm using a lot of AI tools, you know, as productivity hacks. What are your favorite ones, Liz? I know this question is always coming these days, right?
Yes. So I would say AI specific ones, I would say create your own bot to do some of the initial manual work of research or creation in terms of content. Get it to understand you and your ideas and feed it all of the information about you. I love being able to use ChatGPT to rewrite my bios. One new client recently asked for a 50-word bio, and I'd never been asked that before. 100 has always been my minimum. So I was like, oh, what do I do? So I asked ChatGPT to help craft my 100-word bio into a 50-word bio. So reformatting things like that work really well. ChatGPT is still my favorite, but you do have to teach it. Again, it's that investment of time at the start to save you money longer term, save you money and time longer term. Do you want me to answer that Julia question?
Love that. And, you know, also every one of you that's using Google to write emails and you're not using Gemini yet, have a look at that for sure. It's, you know, it kind of pre-crafts your answers on emails and, you know, things like that. Yeah. So there's another question from Julia. I coach people in person. It's 90 minutes coaching. So how would you structure the day then? Just one coaching a day and the rest is productivity, or how would you do it?
Brilliant. So I'll obviously still take the 90 minutes. I would probably say, and I bet you're already doing this already, Julia, but 90 minutes and then maybe 30 minutes after of reflecting on the session with that client, setting up for the next one, maybe having a comfort break for yourself. So if you're on the hour, then, you know, that's fine if that's a commitment you've got to your clients already. But I would then have a buffer in between. I think that's the important bit, the buffer bit. So 90 minutes, maybe half an hour, then another 90 minutes, and another half an hour. Maybe you add them at quarterlies. The coach that I go to see physically in person myself, she gives me half an hour blocks and she does something similar, and that works really well for her. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, exactly. And it fluctuates. And if you've got school holidays to contend with as well, you've got different things to manage your time. And again, it's just like it's what is the general default that isn't the default of the traditional 9 to 5 office Monday to Friday scenario. You're just making it your own there. It doesn't work with a fourth day. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Make it your own. Whatever works for you is the best answer, really.
Yeah, love it. And the final hint I would like to give all of you from my side is also make sure that you have some energy booster, you know, routines throughout the day. Like, you know, for example, you know, I try to, you know, every hour I set my alarm and I drink like a glass of water and I do some jumps, right? Short rope jumps, and I say some affirmations, or I check in where I am energetically or things like that. Liz, do you have a hack on that? What do you do to give yourself this kind of energy boost throughout the day?
Yeah, love it. Very similar. Put on a piece of good music and dance around to it. I use an app called Daily Calm, and it gives you like little bite-sized meditations. So it could be 1 minute, could be 10 minutes, and it gives you a bit of a grounding, reconnect. Pomodoro, I do my 10-minute break with a meditation, and then coffee is a big thing for me. I go and make myself a French press coffee the traditional way with a plunger. And that takes a little bit of time, and that's my kind of mindful moment, but physical mindfulness instead.
Beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. So I think we are at the hour, and I know that every one of you has planned in an hour, so we want to be strict with time today. But thank you for for you, Liz, for being here with us. I think we can all benefit from having a few hours extra every week, and also boosting our energy along the way. And it's lovely to have you every time, a few reminders, a few this additional hint and tip. And thank you all for sharing your takeaways from this session. So thank you all for being here with us. And I love how to see how many people of you said earlier in the chat you are entirely committed to step up with your speaking this year. Because again, guess what? When you're speaking, you save time when it comes to making sales calls, because people in your audience identify themselves, and you have one-to-many conversations instead of one-to-one conversations. Another great hack in terms of productivity and related to marketing and bringing the right clients on board. So thank you. Thank you all for being here, for all doing the amazing work that you do. Thank you for your thank yous. I love what Simona is saying here. Thank you so much, Liz. This was really productive. Okay, thanks, Monique, for another great session with special guest. Thank you for Brenda, our team member, who's always kind of helping us coordinate everything behind the scenes. So I want to not forget her and thank her as well. And I would like to appreciate all of you for you taking the time being here, allowing our amazing guest and me and everyone else to inspire you. And if you only take one of these little hints away, and if that only saves you 1 hour a week from now on, well, over a year, that's 50 hours saved, right? I'm sure you picked up more hints that will save you more time. So you can spend more time on the things you love doing, that lift you up, that energize you, especially in the current times. So thank you, Liz, for being here. Thanks, Brenda, for all the coordination. Thank you all for being here. We will be back with another guest next month. It's already in the making. Keep an eye out. And we have a couple of other amazing things coming up, like our live event where we help people to craft their signature course and their signature speech to sell the course for them. Remember, we have a Thought Leader Circle membership where twice a month we give you powerful hints and tips on how to step up with your speaking. And of course, every couple of months we start again a 3-month professional speakers launch program. So if you're really committed to step up with your speaking, let us know and let's talk about that. So thanks, Liz. Thanks all of you. As I always say, keep going out there. Save time so that you have more time to speak up, scale up, and impact the world in your own powerful way. Have an amazing day, evening, wherever you are around the globe. And thank you for being on with us. Go out there, speak up, scale up, impact the world so that we make a bigger impact together. Okay, and we'll be in touch and see you with another amazing session with another amazing guest in May again. Okay, all the best for now. Cheers.